For a long time now, the slide deck has had a really bad rep in meetings, demos, pitches, workshops, and in the virtual classroom. Let's find out. We've all heard of or even been painfully subjected to the death by effect. And I don't know about you, but I've had to click through some shocking slides in my time as a facilitator. But even worse, I've had to view them as a delegate too. So what's wrong here? What's actually going wrong? Because let me tell you something that might surprise you. Slide decks are great. They are a must-have for me, and my delegates love them too. Before we go any further, let me share with you my love of pizza. I love pizza. Pineapple on pizza, I'm not going to go there, I'm not going to admit it or deny. But think about it, all pizzas start off the same, with a plain round base, and then layers and toppings are added onto it, different ingredients. And they're often carefully placed for aesthetic effects. And yeah, I am the first one to take a pizza out the freezer and hack off the toppings to redistribute the ingredients for both optimal taste and aesthetic appeal. On my classier days, I'll order a pizza to a restaurant, and when it arrives, I will be disappointed if it doesn't live up to my visual expectations, such as a lack of ingredients or not much variety, maybe just bad presentation. Too much plain crust showing or a lack of freshness. But then I have to sit there and consume it. And what I was looking forward to has suddenly become a chore, boring and laborious. Now, they say we eat with our eyes. Well, what I've just seen has put me right off this meal and this restaurant, and I won't be going back. Now, maybe you see where I'm going with this. All slides start off equal, a blank square, ready for you to add your mix of ingredients and toppings to make it palatable, exciting and acceptable for your audience. How you create your slides is what's important, not the fact that you have them or not. Now, let's think of the face-to-face classroom environment. What's the visuals that a delegate might see during a course? Big projector screen, yeah? Your slideshow? Flip charts, handouts, props, peripheral posters to inspire or to link to the course content, each other's faces, to name just some. Now in that situation, a slide deck can be great. It's a great focal point for the course. It can help signpost the day, it can enhance your integrity and add professionalism and genuinely aid learning. You know it can be a disaster too, and we've all been there. The truth is, it's far easier to be able to dump a bad slide deck in the face-to-face classroom because you've got so many other visual stimuli and resources that you can utilise to support the transfer of learning. But remember, when you're running a virtual classroom, you are broadcasting to people's offices, their living rooms, even their bedrooms, and they're tuning in on smartphones, tablets, laptops, computers, even large screen TVs. And they're used to high quality media, professional visuals from all sorts of digital devices. So ask yourself this question: if your slides were being broadcast into your living room on your TV, would you feel like you were watching a professional production? Would you feel proud? So here's my top tips to make a death by slide deck a killer slide deck. Number one, go maximum impact on first slide. This isn't just your virtual welcome mat, it's your shop window, it's your book cover, it's your reception desk into your posh hotel. It's the big first impression, and that sets up your learners for their visit. So include visuals, colour, clear, sharp fonts. You want to excite your learners from the start, and you want to capture their attention so that they engage and they want to stay. Next, no clip art. Please dump all that 1980s clip art. It was good in its day, but we've moved on. If you're still using it, then essentially you're providing old cartoons for a Netflix generation. They won't appreciate it, nor your professionalism, and your integrity could be questioned. Their perception of your work could have them distracted and not in that learning zone. So there's some great resources that provide both free and paid for imagery and illustrations. You'll find some useful links right below. Next, Dumb Slides Smart Presenter. And we've all witnessed Smart Slides Dumb Presenter, haven't we? Where the slides are jammed from top to bottom full of words and the presenter dumbly reads them out to you word for word, line for line. It's the dumbest thing ever, right? And as a delegate, do you read at your own pace? Do you listen to the presenter or not read? Do you try and do both? What's more, what's the credentials of this person in front of me? I could stand up and read that. It's just the same with virtual classrooms. Short, punchy, bullet pointed is the best. Then the facilitator does the job of bringing it to life, drawing upon their knowledge and skills and experience and credentials. So, dumb slides, smart presenter every time. Next, be big, be bold, be size conscious. Remember, not all your learners will be participating on the big screen. Some may be on small tablets, even phones. And yeah, you can pre-recommend larger devices. But we all have what we have, so to only consider those on larger devices would be like an estate agent saying that they're only interested in selling larger houses. How alienating would that be? So remember the dumb slides idea? This will actually help you to make sure you have the real estate on your slide to use the space wisely. Think big, think bold, and think, would it work on a phone? Next, be consistent. You want your visuals to support your audio, and you don't want your learners distracted from your message because of an inconsistent approach. So find a style and stick to it. Use fonts sparingly, maybe one for the titles all the way through and one for the body text. Using bullet points, use the same ones throughout your slide deck. And that way the messages are more powerful and your learners aren't being distracted because of suddenly having to adapt to yet another visual approach. Are all titles the same size throughout? What about the other text? Have you been consistent with the colour? This all helps with the broadcast feel. And no, it's not boring, it's professional and it's smart. And this leads nicely on to stay on brand. Your brand guidelines should help with this consistency, whether it's your own personal brand or you're representing an organisation. This really should inspire the design, the look and the feel of your slide deck. Whether your virtual class is for internal or external customers, the link of the learning to the brand is an essential function in that it enhances credibility, it strengthens the message, it makes it formal and impactful. In other words, the message is from the business, not just from that person presenting. Don't have a brand? Well, definitely get one. Need some help? Ideas below. Next, ration the bells and whistles. Everyone knows that slide decks can have fancy reveals and slick transitions and special effects. Everyone now knows that seeing these doesn't make a presentation, webinar, pitch, or a virtual classroom great. It's the content that does, so don't put style ahead of substance. No one will be fooled. Make your content amazing and then use transitions, moves, ins and outs sparingly and consistently. So do your bullet points reveal individually on one slide? Then that's how they should throughout. Have you used a wipe to take from one slide to the next? Then make that consistent across every slide. You know, it's so jarring and distracting for learners to be watching a new animation just for the sake of showing it off, rather than linking the course content in a smart, dignified, consistent manner. Next, don't get too click happy. And here's an interesting one, because in face-to-face classrooms, too many slides and too many clicks can really add to that deathly feeling. as you drag yourself through the day. And it's boring for the facilitator and really restrictive for them. And it's boring for the learner because it's just too formulaic for them. In a physical room where you can do so much, move about, use flip charts, play games, have competitions, to be subjected to an endless flow of slides and clicks is devastatingly demoralising and destructive for the adult learner. What about virtual classrooms then? Well, it gets interesting because your virtual learners have less visual stimuli, don't they? They don't have flips to look at and peripheral content to inspire. They only have what's in front of them. And yes, there's ways to create an interactive feel in virtual classrooms, see more other content for that. But generally, they're looking at a screen. So what am I saying? Well, too many clicks and too many slides will for sure baffle and tire your learners as well as yourself, because after all, you're dealing with your trainer's notes, your slide deck and the tech. But also, you don't want your learners to be staring at digital wallpaper either. This can be just as tiring and frustrating. So in the design stage, think carefully about each slide and build what content and time frame it links to. And if you're going to spend some time on a topic that only has one slide, well, how could you spice it up for the learners? Could you move through some appropriate images to set the context and inspire conversation, for example? Could you even annotate bullet points of the discussion live onto the slide? Could you even rest the slides and go full screen on video? You get the idea? Finally, video. Video may have killed the radio star, but it's not going to kill the facilitator, nor your learners, you'll be pleased to know. In fact, video and sound is a great way to bring slide decks to life, whether they're instructional, informational, to provoke group discussion. They should be used to bring your classroom to life. It's another voice after all, or voices to listen to. It's another visual to focus on, and it can really help set context, change pace, or introduce new subjects. Also, it's a little breather for you too. Just remember to make sure that you're sharing the computer's sound. So there we have it. That's my top tips for keeping the slide deck alive and kicking, as well as your learners. Follow these tips and tricks and you'll have your delegates engaged, switched on, and well into the learning zone. So if you liked what you've seen and heard, please press subscribe below and tap the bell symbol too, so we can stay in touch. And also, what are your ideas for making slide decks great for your virtual learners? I'd love to hear your tips and tricks in the comments below. But until next time, signing off.